hopefully you've tried out some artist pencils, or at least you've tried whatever you have on hand and played around with texture and how deep and light you can go with your shading. So now we're going to look at adding value, which is kind of going light to dark. Value is like where the shadows are and where the light source is. We're diving into shading. You can add drama and depth, turning your sketches into dimensional art. Understanding how light and shadow play upon everything will help you observe in new ways. You'll get your subjects onto paper with clarity as you train your brain to see them. That's what this exercise does. There's a sort of structure the way light hits an object. I'm going to play with the circle first. It's clearly not a perfect circle. And my light source is here. Okay. So this ball is going to be sitting on a surface. Now if the light source is here, it means the light is hitting it here. Or if it's behind it, it's sort of, the light is more over here, right? We're going to make it more like the light's kind of in front of it and here. So it's going to cast a shadow below it. It's going to be in the shape of the object. And since it's over here, it's going to cast a shadow a little longer on this side. And when you observe light hitting an object, you'll observe the shadow is darkest or closest to the object, and it will become lighter. Okay. So this is the cast shadow. And there's also something called a terminator line, which we'll make that about here. That's basically where the light no longer really hits the object. And behind the object, this is your shadow side. You know, like the dark side of the moon. I'm making this rough and quick. So this is your shadow. And a terminator line, usually a little darker. Now, if this, say, is a white ball sitting on a white surface, there's going to be a reflection of white. But if it's, let's say, a white ball sitting on a surface that is yellow, you're going to see a bit of a yellow reflection in it. And it will be at the bottom, or at the bottom here. So here, so this is your terminator line. And now here, there's often, depending on the color of your ball, if it's white, you're not going to see a whole lot of shading or shadow, but you'll see a little bit. And depending on the surface, if it's a shiny, glossy, you're going to see a sort of nice glint of white over here. It might be much duller. But this here, this is your center light. Excuse me. Now, let's say you've got a ball that's sort of hovering. This is where you can have a little bit of fun with your shadow. Shade it nicely. I'm not doing a very nice job. Very, very rough and quick. My terminator line, my center light. Now, if this guy's not on a surface, it could be a floating bubble. Say the surface is below it, and the light's over here. Shadow is going to be cast. Maybe the flat surface here. Right? If the light is above it, say the light source is here. And sort of in front of it. And let's say it's floating. Floating above a surface. Right. This all depends on the light source. So for instance, this light source is here again. Light source is here, light source is here. And of course, the shape of your object makes a big difference. Let's say we've got a box. If we use the same light source here, this will be dark. We won't necessarily get a great deal of this, which is our reflected light. We get a little bit, which means it'll be darker at the top here. A little less dark here. Of course, shadow. And this is going to be the shape of the box, right? The further away our light source, the longer the shadow will be cast. So next we're going to do a little bit of light play on some different shaped objects so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So in this case, this would be my center light on my box. Terminator line's pretty simple to find on a square object on the different surfaces here. So this is a round surface. This is a square surface. I mean, there are different surfaces that we're going to play with. We're going to play with some cylinders, bowl and a cone, and light source. This is the basic terminology. Light source, reflected light, cast shadow. We're going to focus predominantly on our cast shadow, our core shadow, and our light source. Light moves. It casts shadows depending on where it is in relation to your subject. If the light is close, it will cast smaller shadows. If the light is close and bright, it will cast small, more severe shadows. If the light is distant, it will cast long shadows. So what you have to do is ask yourself, what do you see? Do the cast shadows get lighter further out from the objects? How can you tell the texture of an object? Is there a glint or a glare from the light source? Where is the brightest area on your object or subject? How many value shades is on that baseball? If you can, play with a flashlight at home, day or night. Take photos if you can so you can visually study the light on your subject. Playing with light is the name of the game, just like making art. It's playful and it's fun and it's a learning, enriching experience. So don't be afraid to play and try new things. So I created this little worksheet for you to make it a little easier for you to do this exercise. You can pick whatever you want, pencils, pens, anything, whatever you've got that you want to draw with or want to get better at drawing with. I'm gonna just use 4B pencil, and I've created this so that you can try at least 5 different light sources as a sort of an exercise. So one, you can get used to you going light. So we're very light here, nothing, no shading where it's the brightest, and then the shadow below the object is, you know, it's usually darker just below. Each row has a little light bulb. So the light bulb is your light source. So in this row, each object's light source is like right here. In this row, the light source is the opposite. So it's behind them, right? In this row, it's, well, I guess really, really behind them. And this, the light source is in front of them. And we're over to the left, but down over here. You can do it. Start on any object you want, anyone that feels right. I think I'll start with my box. So my light source is going to be over here. So that means it's going to be darker behind it. And it's kind of behind, so there's going to be a little bit of shadow here. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be full on. It might even be a little bit up here. But since the light source is going to be like up here, and then we're going to have a shadow. The shadow closest to it's usually darker, and it gets lighter as it moves out. Okay? See the difference between this guy and that guy? This one's pretty flat in comparison here. So we can do the same. Something I learned taking courses online, you can watch at higher or slower speed rates. And of course, you know, you can pause and rewind whenever you need to. Now the rounds are interesting. If it's sitting on a white surface, quite often, a white object gets a bit of a glow from the surface below it, which is kind of what you see in the egg, right? So I'm not going to do that here. I'm not going to. And we have the bowl. The bowl is kind of fun because the bowl, it's going to be similar to this guy where it's, you know, it's going to be darker here. The bowl itself is going to shade the little lip below it. But because it's inside a bowl, so the light's over here, it's going to light up this side, but it's going to shadow this. Right. Okay, cone. The ice cream cone without the ice cream in it. Now you can decide, is this going to be flat? Let's give this one a flat top so you can see the difference, right? And then it's no, I think the shadow be a little less. I'm just tapping this. It'll be a little less severe the further away it gets from this guy. All right, got our dome. There. So this guy wouldn't really, this side wouldn't see any light from this at all, I don't think. There. Okay. Now this one is the opposite. The more you do this, the easier it will get. And it might seem like a silly kind of exercise, but once you train yourself to see, and this is what this is doing, this exercise, is training you to understand what you're seeing when you see light source, when you see your objects. It's kind of like, you know, when you see someone trying to be scary in a movie and they put a light below their face and all of a sudden it's kind of spooky, because our brains are designed well, not designed so much, we're just used to the sun in the sky overhead, and we're used to seeing the light above us as opposed to below us. So this is going to be an interesting one down here. So this will also help you learn to understand when you see the shadows, especially in a complex object like a face. When you see the highlights and the shadows in a face, they create these little shapes in the face, just like these do. So for instance, you've got a whole little shape here. You got like a moon here. You've got another little sort of shape here in the shadow, right? All right, so this time the light source is kind of behind our object, isn't it? So, and once you understand light and shadow, you can make some really interesting and dramatic work. Play with different pencil leads. Try your H's and B's and list them. Using them is the best way to learn the true depth your creative tools offer. Return to observing light play when you need a little help. You may see something new or view it in an entirely different way every time you explore it. And that will help you bring so much more depth to your work. If you're finding this helpful, please subscribe and like, and of course, share with anyone who you think would also enjoy this. And if you've got questions, please let me know because I really do want to help. And hopefully, when you do this, you find it relaxing. Lose a little bit of time. Find a sort of a sense of, I don't know, comfort. Your brain's working a little bit, your hands working, you're listening to the sound of the pencil on the paper. Hopefully you get a nice aha moment at some point. Okay, so now, this time the light source is in front of our object. So we're going to see a shadow behind it. I don't think you'll see much behind the bowl, actually. So this would be the shadow of this side of the bowl cast on to the inside of the bowl a little bit. So it's also kind of below, so the top is going to be darker. This will be white because the light's hitting it here, right? Okay, so light's kind of going this way a little bit now. I hope you guys do this. I hope you send me some questions. You could do a whole other sheet of these if you want. You can choose your own light source and try something new. The more of these you do, the better, and your brain will be trained to see light source and see all the shapes within the objects that you're drawing that are created by your light source. All right, okay, last one. Light source is to the left like this one, but it's down more. So it's down more, if it's kind of more here. the shadow it's going to cast is going to be a little bit different. You see the difference here. You can see the light source up here more. I've got less of that here. Okay, so I'll do the same here. I think if I didn't have the other shape here, it would cast long. In this case, it's going to cast on top of this guy. So the light's going to be more severe. Sorry, the shadow is going to be more severe. On the back of the object, and the shadow behind it would go much longer. What you can do is get a flashlight and some objects. Go grab an egg. Now, think of your orb like a planet, except it's sitting on the ground. Now, because this isn't up here, to give some light, it's not going to get any light up here. Same with this guy. Okay, so it's there you go. Okay, yours should look a lot like that. Can't wait to see what you did. Next, time to use these skills to turn your contour drawing 3D with shading. This step-by-step is next.